let's talk about Lionel Messi, who plays tonight for Inter Miami against Nashville SC. This has been a tremendous journey. To understate it would be ridiculous because it really has been that amazing. They have 11 matches, everybody, to make it to the playoffs. They're 11 points away from the 9th spot place, and it all begins, well, it all actually began last weekend against the Red Bulls, but it continues against Nashville, then LAFC, the World Cup qualifying break, and then much more. So let's get to it before we wrap up. Dalen, let me go to you first. Can Lionel Messi, Inter Miami, do this? 11 games left, 11 points away from the 9th place spot. Can they make it to the MLS playoffs?
Well, yeah, by the odds, they're the second favorite to win the whole friggin' thing. Vegas has kind of lost their mind in that regard. But this is, again, you're in Vegas, you're trying to make your money. They got the big buildings there for a reason. They know the Americans are on board with Messi. They want to make this bet, albeit a little bit of a long shot for him, not just to make the playoffs, but to win the whole thing. In terms of actually getting there, yes, I think they've got to get to, I think if you look at the last couple of years, about 43 points is the threshold to get there. They need to win, I think, about 8 of their last 11 games to feel comfortable about being over that number, given where they're at right now. That said, Nashville tonight actually helps Nashville. They've played them already. Maybe the awe will be gone. We've talked about this before. It seems like there's an awe factor, and rightfully so, whether it's the referees before the match or in game and before the game and after the game. There is an awe and a kind of a reverence to Messi being on the pitch with these guys. Maybe this will be different. And not only did they lose, they lost in their home field and they lost a cup final, Nashville did. So this may help them, at least from a mentality standpoint, be ready to go, be looking at it differently. Obviously, Messi, too, coming off the bench in Harrison, New Jersey against Red Bulls. We'll see where he factors in terms of starting lineup and his body. LAFC, it's a trip further away next up. And then obviously the international break, and he's got to be going to South America. So there's a lot on his plate. I'm just going to root for him as a fan. I'd like to see them get there because it keeps it more interesting, keeps it more fun. Let's just say this. I'm not betting on it, though. We're not putting any shekels on this, but I'm hoping it happens.
Well, I think the entire MLS is hoping that they make it to the playoffs. I think it would be significant. But Shaka, here's the other component to all of this. And to Dalen's excellent points about, obviously, can it happen? Will it happen? Not forgetting the fact that, after LAFC, Shaka, he's off to Argentina for World Cup qualifiers. So that September 9th game, it's not just him, but Joseph Martinez, Leo Campana, Benjamin Kremashi might make it to the USMNT camp calendar. So they're going to be missing some people for one game already. And then who knows what could happen after the World Cup qualifiers. So the schedule is also an issue, right? Like making sure that they don't just rely on Messi, because this is a team game after all.
Of course. And that always is the issue for so many teams in MLS who have these international players. And you take that kind of talent out of any team, you're going to suffer. And I don't think that comes as any kind of surprise. So that game where they're missing, it's more about managing the performance and the result than it is about going into it with any kind of expectation. That being said, I know we've labeled Lionel Messi a magician, and rightly so, for his individual brilliance. But I think one of the things about Lionel Messi that I have come to, well, I maybe recognize is that I think he's part hypnotist. Who? I look at Inter Miami and somebody has hypnotized that entire dressing room and convinced them that they're prime Barcelona. This is not, and I think the big difference between
look into my eyes, Kremashi. You're going to be Rui Costa for the rest of the season.
The big difference between Inter Miami of the last game or two and Inter Miami of the first game or two with Lionel Messi is you could see back then all eyes were on Messi. How can we get him? And he didn't disappoint. Now all of a sudden, everybody in those pink shirts are playing like absolute ballers. When did this happen? This was a team that couldn't string 3 passes together 4 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden it's flicks and tricks, and the team are playing with us absolute swagger. So I say all that to say that this Inter Miami team continues to get better and better. Now time will tell whether they left it a little bit too late, and yes, it's a big gap to make up in a little bit of games, but it's not insurmountable, certainly not to this version of Inter Miami. And then how you manage those results, whether that spell is broken when those players are away, again, we will wait to see. But whichever way, sit back and enjoy this, because all of a sudden this is about a lot more than just, well, maybe it is still the Lionel Messi show, but it is more than just the Lionel Messi, the magician show, but Lionel Messi, the hypnotist show.
Look into my eyes, everybody. The show is over. Shaka can get his laundry finally. Dalen's flight to London will be delayed.
Let's go. No, can't have that.
No, absolutely not. He'll have an absolutely great time, and so will we. Shaka Hislop, Dalen Kaff, Luis Miguel Echegaray, thank you so much for being here. Make sure that to follow us on YouTube, of course, social and digital channels. We are back as well on Friday, and Premier League action, and as we mentioned earlier on, La Liga exclusively on ESPN Plus, as well as the Bundesliga, by the way, some hurricane action maybe for your liking. Shaka Hislop, Dalen Kaff, LME, have a fantastic rest of your week, and we will see you next time. Till then, if you're falling asleep.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.